Bleeding heart liberals, time to dispense some justice.
Today we're going to be taking a look at 2003's Judge Dredd vs. Death. That's right, I went and hunted this game down for my original Xbox because I myself am a big fan of Judge Dredd, and this is going to be blasphemy for all my Judge Dredd comic fans out there, but I haven't read the comics, didn't even know there was a comic series. When I was a kid, I knew I wanted to watch the Sylvester Stallone movie because I love me some Stallone, and I actually really enjoy that movie, and even the more I look into Judge Dredd's lore, I'm like, okay, it's not a great Judge Dredd movie, but come on, Stallone and Rob Schneider riffing, it's got some charm, and let's be honest, Stallone looks badass when he's in the helmet for the short amount of time he is in that helmet. And I honestly think that if he would have actually been in a decent movie, he would have been a perfect Judge Dredd. The movie was just all over the place, and it's probably Stallone's fault because he likes to rewrite everything. But then the next movie came out, and that movie I remember blew my freaking mind. They're in that building, he's shooting people off the ledge, they're falling down, it's the son of a bitch from The Boys. Yeah, it's a kick-ass movie. It was really, really good, and I had to play the game. I just knew it. I knew that I had this love for Judge Dredd. I want to get into the comics, but I wanted to play the game, and the game starts out right. You start out right away just like arresting protesters, and you're not giving them like 5 days in jail. No, you're giving them like years for protesting. That's the kind of world we live in. It is straight up military state. Oh, you looked at the precinct the wrong way? Life in jail. Oh, you tripped? Jail. I even can walk around and just arrest people for like being fat. Oh, you had one Twinkie too many? Straight to jail, you son of a bitch. What are you, some sort of liberal? I love this game right away. It sets a tone. He's reciting like RoboCop lines and very 80s style lines. I mean, the fact that one of the first lines you hear Judge Dredd say after the tutorial is bleeding heart liberals. It's just, it oozes charm, baby. It oozes fucking charm. And right after this, you then are supposed to like arrest people who are graffitiing up the precinct. I mean, yeah, they're actually doing a real crime, not like protesting. Protesting isn't a crime. Well, not in the United States anyway. But you look at old Judge Dredd universe, everything's a crime. Trip, you go to jail. But these guys decide they're gonna get a little wacky with it and try to test my authority. And I don't mess with you. I will put you in the fucking ground. I am Judge Dredd. Judge, jury, and executioner, bitch. But I have to say, for run-of-the-mill first level, as it was going so far, it was like, okay, here's some arresting mechanics. You can tell people to shut up, get down on their knees, suck your willy, and then you put handcuffs on them. But right as you start to get like, okay, is this what the game's gonna be? A bank heist breaks out. Here comes the actual combat, and you get to just molester some people. Send the justice straight up their anus. Give them a penetration that they've been dying for. Make them call you daddy. But to be honest, this was still run-of-the-mill stuff, and I was enjoying it, don't get me wrong. I am happy shooting up weird-looking scumbags that look incredibly 80s any day of the week. But this is where the game threw a fucking curveball my direction, and I don't play baseball, so I got hit right on the nutsack with that son of a bitch, because vampires show up. That's right, vampires. Again, my knowledge from Judge Dredd was I was a big fan of both of the movies. The weird drugs, and then Stallone and Rob Schneider doing goofy stuff and killing people. I didn't have like a hard, deep Judge Dredd knowledge. I tried to watch some videos, and back in the day, I wanted to get some comics, but I never did. So when vampires showed up, to say that I was a bit startled, a bit fucking buffooned, I was. And I was like, this is amazing. This is absolutely awesome. If you know one thing about me, I love vampires, and I love shooting them with fucking guns. I like that Blade fantasy. Not only was I getting the Judge Dredd fantasy that I always wanted, where I get to be Stallone and then Carl Urban, but I get to be futuristic Van Helsing, baby. I'm coming in with that fucking goddamn Wolverine energy. And if you didn't understand that Hugh Jackman Van Helsing reference, you need to go watch that movie. It kicks ass. I know some people are like, it's not a very good movie, just typical action flick. You don't like to have fun in life. But if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, keep it on the real, these aren't the best vampires I've ever faced in any video game. In fact, they're kind of not really vampires. Now let me explain. They're called vampires, I don't know why, and they kind of look like a bunch of running around Nosferatus, but they're end kind of design kind of feels a little bit more like the things from I Am Legend. And I know, technically in I Am Legend, there's supposed to be vampires as well, but they're not really there. They're fun to kill. They run at you real fast, but they're more like the things from I Am Legend. In the second mission, you fight a gajillion of these things. Between shooting different prisoners who try to attack you, the most of the enemies you will face in the second mission, and throughout this game, the main enemy that you'll run into the most is the vampires. And the second mission kind of sits as this thing where it's introducing new types of combat to you. I think it works in that regard, but in terms of actually being a level where I felt like a lot was happening, not really. It just kind of felt like you're like, oh, you're Judge Dredd now, some crap's happening at the prison, you got to be dispersed there, which works in the terms of, oh, you're this super judge, jury, cop, executioner guy, you have to go take care of anything that you are sent to do, much like a real law enforcement officer, only in a semi-totalitarian space world thing. It's not really in space, it's just totalitarian future, post-apocalyptic. I don't know. Judge Dredd sits in this weird kind of niche because it's like post-apocalyptic, but they've already got their shit back together, but it sits weirdly totalitarian where Judge Dredd is kind of the bad guy, but society itself is kind of the bad guy, and it's just kind of a monstrosity of a huge catastrophe waiting to happen. That's what's interesting about Judge Dredd for the most part to me, is he sits as this one guy trying to be good, and at times he can almost seem evil and totalitarian, but it's also the world he lives in is so far past the evils of the norm that this is the answer to that atrocities waiting to happen, which is the wrong answer. It's the wrong answer in my opinion. Anytime you go too totalitarian, you are wrong direction. Hey brother, I'm going the wrong way. But for the most part, the second chapter is kind of skip worthy because the real stuff starts to happen in chapter 3. That's where you get introduced to the main antagonist of this game and what's actually going on. You see, they are unleashing Judge Death.
Wait up 1 second, Rooski here, King Jiffy. You're going a little bit too fast. Who the hell is Judge Death, anyway? I mean, you can't just, skim over that.
Well, Cortana, you insufferable bitch. Listen, I was going to get into it. I was, on a roll, and I was going to tell you...
Oh, now we're gonna berate me? Right in the middle of the video, you're gonna berate me? Remember who you work for, you little cuck!
God, I miss when you were just in the background. Nobody ever heard from you. Nobody ever listened to you. You just existed, and you would show up and tell me I had to make another video.
Yeah, but you started to get fat and lazy, and I had to start trying to push you into making content. Otherwise, nothing would get done. Now do the lore, you little bitch boy.
I mean, why? What is even the point of doing the lore? Because whenever I do the lore, I end up getting it wrong anyways. I end up doing something that's way off, according to the giant fan base of whatever thing that I've tried to get interested in. And then they get all sort of fucking hurt in the fifis, and I can't keep up with it anyway.
Well, just tell those stupid ass nerds to shut the fuck up and grow up and actually just give you a little bit of a break. I mean, you are a moron. You're not going to be able to learn everything.
You know what? You're right, Cortana. I don't need to appease the nerds, but I'll do the lore for you this one time because you're being a little nice to me. I mean, you have called me a moron a few times. Also, bitch boy and cuck and a lot of other really mean things.
Oh god, are you trying to rizz me up right now? I'm just gonna let you know I'm a hologram, so I'm never going to fuck you. Just do your job, you stupid content gerbil.
What? Why would I try to... Anyway, I'm married. I'm fucking married. God damn it, Cortana. Anyways, Judge Death is from another universe, and in his universe, he only figured out one way to cure all crime from the area, and that is just kill everyone. Just bring death to every single person, and then no one can create crimes. I mean, he's not technically wrong, but dear God, man, I don't think that's the solution. All my homies believe that killing everyone is the wrong answer.
I don't know. I've seen what you do late at night when you're on your own. I would kill you too.
God, I hate you so much. Maybe Judge Death is right. Maybe I can't even kill you. You're a hologram. I don't know. They kind of killed you off in Halo 5. But then we're getting off topic again, Cortana. You see, you want me to make content, but then you can't even keep me on goddamn topic. Anyways, so the mission that you start out with where you're going to find Judge Death kind of has you doing a bunch of different random shit, which I thought was a little weird. It's like, oh, you're gonna go find Judge Death. Judge Death is back. This is such a big moment. Everything's so terrifying. And yet you're going in fighting smugglers. You're because they're smuggling Red Bull. Yes, in the Judge Dredd universe, like sugar is like a class action lawsuit. That means you're going straight to jail. Again, we've covered everything put you in jail in the Judge Dredd universe. And I'm not gonna lie, this is where they'd get me. This is, if I was living in Mega City 1, I would be hosed. I start every day with like 40 ounces of Red Bull, just trying to make sure that my heart can maintain a solid pace so I can make it through my day. And I don't know how I would survive in this world. I would be that dude sitting on the corner, like, hey, you got some Red Bull? You got some Red Bull, baby? Oh, baby, I need me some Red Bull. It would be really bad. I would probably be all dressed up like a Mad Max character, just all sorts of way too much leather, and be just begging for some Red Bull. It's not a fun life. I don't understand who would want to live in this world. Again, that's kind of the point of Judge Dredd, though. It's gotten so bad that they gotta ban everything. And in most games, I would find this incredibly annoying, because though in the background of this game, you were seeing what's going on, and Dredd himself doesn't really know that Death's coming back, it just kind of is one of those things where it's like, why am I doing all this silly bullshit when there's real shit happening in the background? Well, it makes sense with Judge Dredd, because he still has to carry on his law and order bullshit. He has to be the judge day in, day out, and he's going to be doing his typical shit, and when other things are happening in the background, you can't always know, and I think that's what works out. It's like when you're reading like a mystery novel or watching like a mystery show, and he actually plays its hand earlier, so you already know who the killer is, and you're kind of calling the guy such an idiot for not already knowing who it is. At the end of the day, they haven't seen what you've seen. So I think that really works in the context of this game, and it kind of plays on that, and it never really takes you out of the experience too much, and I think it really hits when it's trying to hit. And this is solely carried by the fact that this, at the end of the day, is a really fun gameplay experience. I mean, you're constantly bouncing between whether I should arrest these people or kill them, and you have the ability to, some guys will pull guns on you, right, and you can shoot the guns out of their hands, and then they'll give up by putting their hands behind their head, and you then arrest them. I think that's an incredibly cool mechanic, and how you can actually just aim at their weaponry and shoot it out of their hands. And there's only like one enemy that when you shoot the gun out of their hands, they don't give up. And the fact that that one enemy is like that, and you know that, it's really good and easy for the player to understand that, oh, this guy I just have to kill, but everybody else, I could technically save their lives by arresting him and not be the end-all be-all evil judge that kills everything. So the fact that it gives you that option and that functionality in the game, I thought really worked for the world building, as well as just a really fun gameplay mechanic. Now, I'm not big on the no death playthrough type, or no killing playthrough type shit, or the pacifist mode, but I am big on player freedom, so I might not like the idea of shooting the gun out of everybody's hand and would rather just dome fuck them the whole game. But the fact that people who aren't as much of a fan of killing things the whole time, the fact that they have that option to go through the game and just shoot every gun out of people's hand to enjoy the experience the way they want to, giving the player true freedom, that's a cool idea. Now, this is a very old game, so it doesn't like go full in on this idea. I think that it kind of tiptoes around it, and there's some enemies that, like I said, you can just shoot. You have to just shoot. You can't make them surrender. But it is a cool thought process going into this, and some of these levels where you're actually fighting people that do give up, I find to be the best parts of this game. It goes to the idea that the devs really knew what they were talking about or doing when it came to this character, which is refreshing. I don't expect a game that is done on a character to be the perfect game ever made. I just expect it to be a good representation of that character. That's why I loved RoboCop, the new game, so much, because they understood RoboCop. They understood what it meant to play as RoboCop and what it meant to feel like. And when you're playing through this game, you truly feel like Judge Dredd. And it's kind of funny why that is. Now, in the 2000s, Rebellion, yes, the people who made the Sniper Elite series, bought the IP of Judge Dredd and started releasing the comic books, and then released this game in 2003, a few years later. It's almost like they bought this game, or this IP, just to make this game, and then have done nothing with it ever since. It is crazy to me that they have this IP sitting dormant, and they haven't even touched it since 2003. Now, I don't know if this game was a bomb or whatever. I don't really understand the sales figures from the 2000 era. I mean, they call games platinum hits that I don't feel like sold that well, but the 2000s era was a goofy time period. It's not like today where if a game doesn't sell 1 million units, it's a fucking failure. It does just sit a little uneasy with me, the fact that we're seeing remasters of games every single week coming out, and yet Judge Dredd is sitting there just dying in the 2000s, and it's like, this is a fun game. I'm 30 levels in, and I'm having an absolute blast. I can't be any more rock hard if you wanted me to be. And yet, the only way to play this game on console today is by getting an original copy for the PS2 or Xbox original. And that's just insane to me. How can you, as a company, Rebellion, be sitting there on something this fun and not be on the phone with Night Dive every other day saying, hey, we need you to remaster Judge Dredd. Let's get this back to the masses. Or, I don't understand why you haven't remade this. You make a new Sniper Elite game or whatever every single year. Hey, it would be nice to, like, throw maybe some Judge Dredd in there. Let's give him a little love, because it's been over 20 years since he's seen the light of day on a console, or a PC for that matter. I mean, just the fact that this game took the idea of, oh, we're gonna have this cult dedicated to Judge Death, and we're gonna have one of the members capture a bunch of judges to re-release all of these evil dark judges back onto the world, and it looks this freaking cool, and it's sitting there dying on obscurity in the past, is enough to piss me off. Trust me, I'm not saying this game is perfect by any means. It's far from that. It has a lot of fumbles throughout its campaign, which I find incredibly fun so far, especially this 4th level. Now, you're supposed to detach what you're doing. You just found out all the dark judges are back, so what do? Well, you gotta go to the mall and kill zombies. I mean, really? We're turning into Dead Rising all of a sudden? And this mall mission is kinda just fine, I guess. It functions to be a good place to give you the shotgun. At least the judge's shotgun you get here. There's another shotgun in the game which is much better and holds way more ammo. But the judge's shotgun only has 3 rounds in its tube magazine. Which leads me to explaining how the ammunition works in this game. It's as good a time as any. You see on the right side of the screen there where I get that little blue meter that keeps going down opposite of my health. Each time you fire a gun, a chunk of that meter will disappear. And right next to it, you have a magazine counter. That's how many full magazines of ammunition you have for that gun. I actually don't hate this idea. I think it's fine. It's not as nice as knowing how much ammo you have left, but the more you utilize these guns, the more you'll understand how much chunk is worth to ammo. Well, the judge's shotgun fires off 3 bursts of a shotgun, or 3 fucking shotgun fires. It fires off 3 rounds, and that's all you get, and then you move on to another magazine, which is super ineffective. You would think with it having a lower amount of ammo in the magazine, they would be bigger rounds, especially considering you're the badass judge. No, not really. When you pick up the other shotgun, it seems to do the exact same amount of damage, only you get like 5 or 8 shots, something like that, out of its magazine. Completely impractical. Which brings me to one of my issues in this game, and it is the weapons. Now, the judge's pistol is badass. It is much like RoboCop's pistol in the new RoboCop game. This is your end-all be-all. You were going to use this gun the entire game. In fact, because it's Judge Dredd's gun, and the judges are not allowed to lose this gun, this will be in your inventory at all times. You were only allowed to ever switch out your secondary. And you would think, because of that, the game would scatter a bunch of variety of weapons throughout each mission, and you would get a decent weapon variety. That is wrong. This game does not do that, really. It has different weapons, some of which are good, some of which I absolutely hated. Like the laser rifle in particular, the only time it was any good is if you charged it up, and the only time that you really needed to charge it up is if you were using it as a sniper rifle, but everything kind of just funnels toward you, and you're mostly working at closer range, so it has really no real utilitarian use, which led me slightly to despising that gun. It just felt like if I was almost out of ammo and that was my only option, I'd pick it up, but other than that, I wouldn't touch it. Other than that, it just kind of felt like whenever you would pick up a secondary gun, it was like only because your main gun was out of ammo, with the exception of the Judge sniper rifle, which is also the Judge machine gun. Which brings me to why I feel like this game would have been much better if it would have gone the way of a lot of the older style shooters, where it just gave you a rotation of 3 different guns and you had 3 different ammo pickups, or 4 different guns, whatever. Because like the Judge gun in and of itself had like 6 different fire methods. You have your exploding rounds, your fire rounds, your ricochet rounds, your armor piercing, and your burst fire, each of which take a different amount of ammunition when fired. Like obviously different style of ammunition, but also ammo count was different, so when you were looking at your bar, you would see different amounts of chunks getting taken out when you fired each round. Now, then it would have been nice if it would have just had the Widowmaker shotgun. I think it's the Widowmaker. The Widowmaker shotgun as, okay, when you pick up your shotgun rounds, this is the shotgun you use. Then for your machine gun, the machine gun has the machine gun fire or the sniper rifle fire. And if you would have just constantly been picking up ammo for these different variations of weapons, whether it's pistol ammo, machine gun ammo, or shotgun ammo, I think that would have made for the gameplay to be a little more badass, I guess, because there's a lot of times where you're just solely relying on this one type of gun, and then when you pick up like the Judge shotgun, you're just like, get this fucking thing out of my hand as quick as possible. It just takes forever to reload, and I only get 3 fucking shots anyways. Why would I use it? And you're swapping it for a better shotgun in a few seconds. Why not just put the better shotgun in my inventory at all times? And it kind of shows the cracks in sometimes when you have games with a 2-weapon limit. Why did they do this? I have no idea why the 2-weapon limit is necessary for this game. I understand why it's in something like Call of Duty, because it's trying to be more realistic or whatever, or Halo. But in this game, it just feels wrong. It just doesn't feel right. Why is Judge Dredd running around picking up other people's weapons and not utilizing his own? You'd think he would have the arsenal ready packed on him. And that was one of the biggest problems I had with this mall mission here, is because it's so distracted and it feels like a filler episode of a TV show that you're put in here and you're just kind of killing zombies, which you hadn't really seen zombies up until this point. So you're like, oh, this feels like a completely different game. Yeah, you're still doing like a judge job, but it's just like, oh, so now I got vampires and zombies, and I have all this time to fucking think about any issues this game could possibly have. And this is the one mission that I felt pulled the whole experience down. And I was having a blast up until here. All my gripes that I originally had that you've heard so far, I don't think I had very many, but any gripes that I might have had came from me thinking too much in this mission and kind of feeling like it was dragging down the experience. Because the prison mission felt like it was a necessity and felt like, yeah, I'm still doing Judge stuff because the main antagonist hadn't showed up. You're just kind of living the day of Judge Dredd. Well, you can't go from finding out there's a main antagonist now to, oh, I'm back to just living my normal Judge Dredd day. I don't have any priorities right now. And the only thing you really find out during this mission is they tell you that the evil judge or the dark judges aren't the ones who made the vampires, that it's somebody else. Brings you into the next mission, which is Icarus Labs, where you're going to find out who has made all of these evil monsters in the world and why chaos is breaking out. Because now we have zombies, we have vampires, and we have dark judges just roaming around. We have all this chaos, so it's time to figure out why this is happening. And though I had my problems with how they decided to go with the 2-weapon limit and how some of the different guns function, the fact that the main gun is so amazing and you have so many great moments, this level just highlights how much fun this game is. Not that the zombie mission didn't do that, because the whole time, even though I was thinking about some of the gripes I had with this game, I still was having fun blasting zombies. In this lab mission, you were throwing so many vampires your direction, and you feel like a goddamn badass. And these vampires are annoying sometimes because they throw a bunch at you. They take a lot of rounds to put down, and you're constantly at odds with them. And when you find out why they exist, basically this scientist was like, I want to create immortality, I want to be a better being, typical cliche bullshit, but he has created all these vampire-like creatures, and he wants to become the ultimate being because the vampires were a failure, and he's going to be better. And it's a cool idea. I like this. I like that in the moment you see this happen, it does that old school video game thing where it's like, fucking tons of enemies are now coming your way, and you're set up after the cutscene to fucking kick ass. Because it feels like not enough games really do that with their cutscenes anymore. It seems like they want to spend way too much time just boring you with goddamn monologue, and sometimes it's absolutely nonsensical. This game's like, I'm a scientist, I'm evil, I created vampires, now fight a bunch of fucking vampires. And that's cool. It's based. I loved this shit. I got so giggity schmoodle on the beat right here, and I felt like I was in a little bit of terror when this happened. And that's kind of like a good vibe to have. You are the one line of defense in this world of atrocious evils. You are that guy. You are fucking him. You're here to slap clit and bring justice, goddammit. I am Judge Dredd. You will face justice. I am Judge, Jury, and Executioner. It's that vibe, bro. In this game, understands that fucking vibe, and it gives you the reins to be a badass that you are. Just, you are that guy. It is great to fucking be that guy. It is great to slap clit like a fucking man, and this game allows you to do that. I felt like this entire mission was a catalyst and saying that you are a badass. The levels before kind of made you feel a little bit like a badass, but this mission was a standout for me because I felt like I kicked so much ass through here. Even when I felt like the odds were stacked so high against me, I felt like I could come through them because I am the fucking cum machine. And even when you're running through this lab while the lab's exploding and you're stopped by all these guys with tons of better weapons than you, or not really better weapons than you, just a lot of weapons, you pick them up and you kick ass with them. And you're introduced to the grenade launcher here, which I think is a really cool gun. You don't see it a lot in the campaign, actually. It is a weapon that when I picked it up later in the game, I had forgotten that I'd used it in this earlier section because, again, that is one of the big issues with this game kind of having the pickup weapon model, is you don't face enough human enemies to really utilize that. And that brings on that point that I was making earlier about how this game would have been much better rounded if they would have just had a weapon wheel to it. And if they were to ever remake this game, I think that they should throw a grenade launcher into the mix and just have you have a rotating weapon wheel of cool shit, and you just go through living your Judge Dredd experience. And I think they could iron out a lot of the issues with this game by doing a full-ass remake. Maybe do a remaster, let people play the original game to hype them up for a remake, and then drop a badass remake where the facial animations of the enemies don't look like they were painted by fucking Van Gogh. I think that would be the right direction, because this game shows its age more than anything else I played on the original Xbox. I'm not gonna lie, this game is very rough at times in terms of like cutscenes. You see somebody's face, it looks like it was just kind of cut out of fucking square clay and just slapped on screen. It is rough in terms of presentation that way. Mission preceding this was one of my favorite in the game. You kind of just run through the torn up streets of Mega City 1 taking on cultists, and this shit is an absolute blast. And you feel like an absolute god going up against these guys, and you really get to have fun with all the mechanics that I mentioned earlier, where you're shooting guns out of people's hands, you're arresting them, you're really kind of paying attention to where people are going to be at to shoot you. It really feels like a good FPS shooter in this whole area. It doesn't feel like you're just not playing another zombie killing game, which, don't get me wrong, if this was in the zombie killing like genre, it would be one of the better ones, especially for the original Xbox. But this game, I feel like, is even heightened by how much better it can be when you're fighting some of these bad guys and arresting people, because you get the great one-liners where it's like, you're going to jail for life and all this cool shit. That's where this game kind of is highlighted. One problem this game has that will pop up periodically through the whole gameplay experience that I had to do in the whole mall mission and I'd forgotten about, and I really didn't want to put that section in to begin with, is this whole backtracking to go get a person to lead them to point B, the escort missions. And they're not like full throughout this game. It is something that for the most part will be just like, oh, bring 3 people to this position, or bring Judge Zoidberg to fucking position Z, and you will go and clear out the area ahead of time, because if they die, mission's failed. And then when mission fails in this game, it has a funny way of doing it. It doesn't like end the mission right there. You can run around and go fucking postal on people's asses, but you can't finish the mission, so you just have to reload from a checkpoint manually by yourself. The game will not do it for you. So when your guy dies and you're literally late into the mission and you have to go all the way back to where he was originally at, that can be really annoying, and the devs knew this. They knew that escort missions can be a fucking nightmare in video games. They're the bane of every gamer's existence. So what this game allows you to do is you can tell somebody to stay put. You can go clear the entire route in front of them, kill every enemy, and because enemies don't respawn, it's just like a good shooter where it's just not popping people in every 2 seconds, and after you've cleared the enemies in front of your fucking person that you're protecting, you then have more people pop in. This game will allow you to go through, kill everybody in the way, and then run back and get your guy. It might be a long trek to go find them wherever you fucking told them to stay safe, but it allows you to do that. So every time I had to escort anybody, I would just like tell them to stay right there. I would go proceed the entire rest of the mission, clear everything out of the way, and then go back and save their asses. And the reason I bring that up now is because the mission right after you go from the cool streets of Metro City 1 killing on cultists is then you go to a hospital where you're killing zombies and saving citizens. This whole level is just full of mini escort missions. That is the entire time you're in this hospital. You're going from one place killing zombies, leading people to these like decontamination rooms where they're able to stay safe. You want to go into the decontamination rooms, kill all the dead bodies on the floor, because sometimes you'll put somebody in decontamination room and then a monster will get up and then kill them, and you fucking wasted time. And there's an amount of people that you have to save to progress in order to like get to the next part of the mission. This mission sucked. It was not that fun for me. I thought it had some really cool design. I thought it was laid out well, but it just is kind of the worst parts of the mall mission, but with more escort quests. Because there was an escort quest in the mall mission, but I didn't really think about it until the end of the mission, where I'd already like watched everybody died except for 3 people, and at the end of the mission I could just take those fucking 3 people at the end of the mission 5 steps and they were safe. So this mission, the fact that you can let some people die, the game won't tell you failed the mission, you will then run around fucking aimlessly and not be able to find the last person. So I actually restarted this whole mission so that I would be able to save as many people as possible to progress to the next area. I wasn't a fan of this place. It was my least favorite mission in the game, and it sucks because I think it had a really, really cool biome, and it was a diverse landscape for me to really fucking interact with, and it just kind of wasn't that much fun to proceed through. After getting on an elevator out of the hospital, you then kill some like zombies and stuff, and you get to the first encounter with a dark judge. And I was really excited for this. In fact, I went in there and killed the judge right away. Come to find out, don't do that because the judges just kind of take over bodies, so they just kind of ghost their ass through the rest of the level. So what you have to do is you have to go through this entire mission, and guess what? Escort missions. You escort every citizen out of this area and turn this gas on around the entire arena. And it's just kind of a weird boss fight, and I don't even know if I should call this a boss fight. It fits in the boss fight realm because that's kind of the point of this level, is hitting switches, getting people out so that you can progress this judge in the direction you want him to go. I really hated this. After doing the whole hospital level, and this was just more of the hospital level, but in one foul swoop, like the hospital level was spread out. So you were saving people here, saving people there, killing zombies. You had combat, breaking it up. This one kind of front-loaded you with killing vampires at the beginning to then just running into this area, and you're just waiting on people constantly. You pull them out, you walk to the end. You don't really have to worry about the judge killing him because he's fucking garbage at trying to hit shit. I mean, you just kind of can run past him and he doesn't really hit you. So he's not a real challenge. It's just getting people from point A to point B. That is this entire goddamn boss fight. And it just kind of sat with me weird. But after all the pipes break, you then get to chase the judge into one of those chambers that you brought all the survivors to throughout the whole hospital mission. You basically just chase his happy ass down there. You watch him. I shot him a couple times because I wanted to shoot him. And then I just wait. And then he goes in here. You hit button and boss fight over. Really fucking lame. This was one of the lowest points in the game. Right after a hospital mission, lump this in together, kind of cringe. But he does tell you that there are 3 more dark judges remain, so that's cool. At least I might have a better encounter here in the future. And the game wastes absolutely no time getting you into the next boss arena, which I don't understand. You just jump right into going after another goddamn dark judge. And I was like, oh, this is a heating up. And I did all the things in this mission necessary, except for at the end of it, I had glitched the entire game to where the stupid ass dark judge was just caught in the water, stuck perpetually on a table, and was not able to run where I needed him to go. So there was a section here where I was like, oh, well, am I supposed to kill him? And I emptied so many rounds into him, I had just soft locked myself, and I had to restart the entire mission. It was a fairly simple mission anyways. It was a lot like the last mission without the escort quests. Basically, you run through the mission, hit all the water switches, the judge runs upstairs, you hit a button, and then suck him into a fucking fan. That's right, you suck him into a fan, he gets obliterated. Totally worth it for all of those jibs. So jibby. And he comes out as a ghost. He's like, ha, you haven't killed me, Judge Dredd. They throw their fucking Ghostbusters device on the ground and suck him in. And I was like, wait, what? We just have Ghostbuster devices? Why haven't I been shooting these fuckers the whole time? None of that matters because we are on Judge Death's ass right now. We are hunting this son of a bitch down because he messed with the law, and the law's gonna win, baby. And this part of the game is where there was a bit of a difficulty spike because it's just throwing vampires at me now. Chaos is broken loose. fuck having cultists, I guess. It's just about throwing as many goddamn zombies and vampires at you until you run out of ammo. So paying attention to your ammo counts becomes a necessity in this part of the game. It'll throw the periodical weapon throughout the whole campaign, or not campaign, but level. They will throw little things here, little things there, but if you pick up the wrong gun that does the wrong type of damage type to the wrong style of enemy, you'll just blow through bullets so fast. Like, let's say you pick up a machine gun, and you're not the judge machine gun, but like the regular machine gun. In this game, every other enemy you encounter, that gun will fucking melt. But the vampires, it will eat up an entire magazine just to kill one of those fucking vampires with that machine gun. With the judge machine gun, you do a ton of damage to those vampires. If you pick up the stupid judge shotgun, you only get 3 rounds, so it's kind of puts you in a worse position because you're constantly reloading because of how many vampires come at you. You want to pick up the regular shotgun, but you want to wait until you have to face vampires to use this regular shotgun. See where I'm kind of getting at the problem with the type of design when it comes to the weapon usage in this game? Yeah, this mission really pushed my fucking buttons on why that's a problem. Because you get to the point where you're like, oh, I don't have any fucking ammo. I am out of ammo on basically everything. And you're just constantly trying to maintain the fact that you have what little use of shit you have. So I maintained enough shotgun shells to get me through this mission. This shit tested my patience, but in kind of a good way. I'm not gonna lie. It was fun having to pay as much attention to what I was doing to be able to survive this son of a bitch. And it was totally worth the payout, because when you get to goddamn Judge Death, he does not disappoint, bro. And the fact that their names is Dredd and Death is throwing me off because I keep saying the wrong name. It is going to perpetually make my nipples unhard. But basically, when you do finally get to Death, bro, he is just fucking up this poor son of a bitch. And you're like, there's nothing you can do. He has a hostage. You're trying to be the good guy the best you can. And he does not give a shit. He is death. He is death incarnate. He is the death bringer of his universe. He is the correct judge in his mind. And he stabs his fucking hand through this random guy you don't know. But it's still gnarly to see. And he just is like, I'm going to just set a bunch of enemies on you, and it's just so cool. Another cutscene ending with you just needing more fighting at the end of it. And I just picked up the Judge machine gun, which is one of the best guns in the game. I always hate that I didn't get to utilize this as much as I wanted to. I felt like it was just kind of a letdown that gun is so fucking amazing, and I don't get to utilize it very much at all. But after a short jaunt of killing people, you do finally catch back up to him, and this cutscene is so amazing. You have him on the fucking ropes, you shoot out the thing, it doesn't matter if he throws a million zombies at you at this point, you got him in the fucking corner, and he falls down and gets grabbed by these weird robot arms, and he just gets all spread eagle styled, because he's ready for that Judge Dredd dick, baby. Judge Dredd dick, not really. He's thrown into like this giant crusher machine. Why is that there? I have no idea. What's its purpose? No clue. It could be just powering anus dildos on the surface world. Have no idea. It doesn't explain it. But do I care? No, because all the jibs that came off of that son of a bitch were so cool. And then it's like, oh, well, his soul escaped. He is heading this direction down into the underworld bullshit area, like the underground where all the scummy people live, because they're not good enough to live above ground in Metro City 1. They deserve to be underdwellers. But really, though, also what's down there is the other judge you're looking for, because you have 2 left. And that other judge's name is Judge Fear. Yes, Fear. What badass names for the Dark Judges. I don't remember what the first 2 were called, but I do know Fear and Death go hard as fuck. That is such a cool-ass name. And looking into the lore of Judge Fear, he is just so cool. He is like the bringer of pain for Judge Death. Because Judge Death is like the leader of all of them, right? He is the leader of the Dark Judges. But his right-hand man is Fear. And the dude will literally beat somebody down and then show them his face, and they will die of fear. He's so scary to look at. He is the bringer of fear. He will tell people that. That is hard as goddamn shit. That is a hard shit. That is one that tears open your anus when it's coming out. That is the one that you don't want to fuck with. And this mission leading up to him, I was so excited. Again, this mission really tries to prioritize, like the last one did, you paying attention to your ammo count. And I'm not gonna lie, there was a few few times in this mission where I picked up the judge's shotgun, and I was so fucking visibly mad that that was the gun they decided to present me with. This gun fucking sucks. It's garbage. It is the biggest down point of this entire game. I might have some, like, small gripes with the missions here or there, where they kind of feel disjointed. And for the most part, the missions are still fun. But you hand me this fucking piece of shit shotgun, oh boy, I am going to want to punch a pussy. Not like a cat, and not like a vagina, just like some guy who shows up at my house and is like, I'm gonna fight you, and I punch him in the face. I feel like I worked too hard for that shit. I'd punch a vagina because of this gun. I don't like punching anything. I don't want to be a violent man, but dear God, this brings out violence in me. This is not what you want. You do not want to be stuck with that fucking shotgun. Pick up anything else. Once you pick up that gun, just go find anything. It will be better. This is also the only other mission where I did pick up the grenade launcher, and I really love this gun. I think that some of the enemies tank a little bit too much damage, so this gun doesn't feel as useful as it could. But I'm gonna let you know right now, the main priority of this fucking mission is running through it. I tried to kill everything because that's one of my favorite things to do, is just like murk anything in my way. I want to see jibs. I want to see people explode. Not people in real life or anything, but in the video game. I want to see people just get absolutely clusterfucked with all sorts of blood and guts everywhere. It is what I live for. But this mission will test your fucking patience. And you will end up with how the health works in this game. I know I'm going off on bullshit right now, but how the health works on this game is you have this meter that refills, sort of. It kind of refills, but if you take too much damage, it will knock health off of the far left meter. And once that far left meter goes all the way to 0, you lose one of these square boxes with a plus sign on it. You have 3 or 4 of those. Once you are out of all of those, you are done with health, you die, you start over. And this last level of, or not last level of the game, but this whole level, I basically learned I had to run through this bitch. And then I got to the Judge Fear boss fight, and I thought it was going to be another fucking pulling switches, doing bullshit. No. This is an actual fucking boss fight, and it's good. The way this boss fight works is one of the Judge Fear's biggest fucking things is he will throw bear traps at you. Instead of wearing armored pads on his shoulder for bullet fire, he wears goddamn bear traps. He's got shrunken heads on his belt because of how much of a savage he is, and his main attack is chucking fucking bear traps at you. So you do not want to be hit scanned by those because they do a lot of damage. And I started this thing off with basically no health. So I was like, oh, I am screwed. Not to mention that at all times there are 3 vampires running around trying to murk you. So you are constantly staying on your toes while Judge Fear is chucking bear traps at you and leaving them all over the boss arena. Now, he takes a decent amount of damage to be killed. It's not like he's impossible. I had enough rounds in my main gun because I'd focused on trying to keep ammo because I just felt like there was something big coming at the end of this mission. And I was right. So my main goal was put as many fucking armor-piercing rounds into Judge Fear while constantly avoiding getting murked. This shit was hard. This shit was fun. I loved this fight. And when I was playing it, I'm not going to lie, I was sweating bullets. I was having some trouble. But goddamn does this shit keep you on your toes. And it has a decent amount of weapons scattered around the boss arena to where you can run a secondary on these vampires. All of that is distractions because what you mainly want to focus on is dealing as much damage as humanly possible right away to Judge Fear. And I had to learn this because of how low my health was and how I kept getting fucking plaster blasted by all sorts of penises raining semen down on my head. That's what this boss fight felt like, and god damn it is it worth it. But when you actually conquer this bitch, the whole level sets this up to be a very difficult fight because it knows that you will be without health by the time you finish it, and that's why running through it ended up being the right choice. I wish I would have started running through it earlier in the mission because this bitch will fucking test you. I think my only true gripe with this whole section was the fact that when the cutscene rolls, you chuck out one of the Ghostbuster weapons and then suck him in, and it's like, why couldn't I have done that from the very beginning? Why did I only have one of those for Judge Fear? I don't know. It just kind of pissed me off just a little bit because it was like I had 2 earlier Dark Judges that would have been much better boss fights and ended up just being hit switches, proceed level. The next level begins with you jumping into a new dimension, which is the Dark Judges dimension, and this place does not disappoint. It is death everywhere. It's a barren desert. You start the mission out and you can run over to the left, pick up a fucking judge machine gun, and just start going ham. And the way that this early section works is it's just like kill skeletons, kill vampires. It finally introduced a new style of enemy in this last mission, which if I had to complain about anything in this game, which I've already kind of complained about some of the stuff, and I have to say I still fucking think this is a masterpiece of a game. I love it. I will play it again in the future. I had a blast, but I wish that it had a little bit more enemy variety. I've said that how you fight vampires and fucking zombies a lot in this game, but adding in skeletons I thought was a cool, at least they function just like the zombies, but at least they look different. At least you're giving me a little bit of diversity, and it's just fun shooting skeletons with a machine gun and vampires in this area full of bones. It adds to this established aesthetic that this area is full of death because death killed everyone in his dimension in order to create justice. It just builds ambiance so much better than anything else I can think of. I just wish that there was the same amount of variety put into this mission into the enemies in the game, and it sucks that this was the first new enemy I had seen in probably 6 levels. This level also fixed the issue I had with not finding any weapons on levels. This level is constantly just having dead judges around that have weapons laying everywhere. It's fantastic, and it's so much fun in this level getting all these different enemies to chase you around, huddling them up and treating this like a horde shooter or like fucking Serious Sam, going absolute batshitly crazy on the beat, bro. You got your dick out and you're just slapping keys right here, slapping them keys with your penis. It is great. It is so good. And I just feel like this last mission was a perfect symphony, and some of the lower missions in the games could have learned something from this, because this is a fucking send-off. This is like giving you everything that was great about the game, and any gripe you could have had is getting fixed in this mission. And it's like, why couldn't you have just done this with every single mission? Every single mission in this that I might have had a slight problem with, you could have fixed. Really only 2 missions. It was like 2 missions and then the 2 boss fights. But for those 2 missions and 2 boss fights could have been so much better if they would have just fucking done this. I want you all to get your Kleenexes out, because look how gorgeous this goddamn fortress is. It's made out of bones, baby. Bones, and I got a boner. It's so good, dude. I loved every inch of the actual like level design and what they were able to do with the giant moments of structure and architecture in this area. It's just cool, and you know behind every door there's going to be epic fights waiting for you. This is perfect. This was so perfect leading up to this. And there might be some people that will disagree with this take, but I really like this last boss fight. I think the entrance is cool. I think it's awesome how the scientist from earlier in the video actually perfected his design to create a super creature that was immortal, or supposedly immortal. He just needs like the life force of people. So you go through freeing judges out of these goddamnly perfectly designed, they look straight out of Scorn, but actually in a fun game where they hold these judges in and they're using their life force to power the invulnerability of death. Such a cool idea. So the switches you're hitting here actually feel like cool switches because you're saving lives. You're saving your fucking comrades. This is good level design on a boss fight. You can't hurt him until you fucking save some goddamn lives. This is genius. And when it does come down to where you get the last person freed, there is a chick up in the middle. She's like your comrade. Like the one from the movie where she was hot, blonde, and a telepath. That chick, yeah, she's stuck in the middle of all these people. They're using her energy as the catalyst, and you need to like save her. That's the main goal. But after you free all those guys, you then start fighting the fucking Judge Death himself. And it kind of goes a little downhill from here. I do appreciate that they're letting me fight him, and he does have some cool moves where like hit the ground and a fucking snake will come out of the ground and he just try to like suck onto your willy a little bit. But I got him stuck on the environment, and it just kind of led to me shooting him in the same place over and over again. I actually ran around and started firing him from the back so that I could get him unstuck from the environment, but he was just kind of fucked. He had really no opportunity to move, and it just kind of was lame. That's one thing. That was my one gripe at the end boss fight. I think it could have been a lot better, but getting him stuck on the environment as quick as I did just kind of ruined all of the anticipation into this fight. Because I thought this could have been a really cool boss fight if he would have chased me around, because I was scared of him. The whole time I was freeing the fucking other judges from their little constraints where they were getting like just sucked dry. I was like, oh, this guy's scary. He can probably one-shot me. I need to keep a distance. And then when I fucking had that distance belt, saved the last judge, and he was stuck on the environment, I was just like so cringed out. But I do like the way you capture him is you use the telepath chick to then harvest her, like his soul out and suck him into her own. Like, bro, that bitch must give crazy head. Like, for real, for real. She must like lock onto the dick and just... That's my kind of gal. I really should have known that making a joke like that would unleash the king, baby. That is true when it comes to obscene sex jokes and saving the planet from aliens trying to steal babes. You're the guy. I'm basically the same as Judge Dredd. Nobody comes to my planet to steal my babes. He just has dark judges. I just got aliens. I mean, there's quite a few differences, to be honest. It's not even close, but sure, if that'll get you to leave, whatever. Just please go find some babes to bang or something. Alright, I'll catch you on the flip side. But anytime you need somebody to kick ass and chew bubblegum, I'm all out of bubblegum. Yeah, totally. I'll totally give you a call. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. If you want to like and comment, do it, I guess. I mean, it feeds Cortana and Captain Dumbass over there, old Duke Nukem. I mean, when is he ever gonna come back? Nobody knows. He's just fucking sitting in a cell somewhere at my house where I keep him locked up in the basement, and he just kind of like yells through the vents. It's honestly really uncomfortable, and I wish he would just leave me alone. But if you want to comment and feed him, go ahead. Feed fucking Captain Dipshit. I know Cortana's lingering over me somewhere, just waiting for me to go to sleep and like kill me at night or something. I don't know. But Judge Dredd is a fucking forgotten masterpiece that needs to be remastered. It would be great to see a new Judge Dredd game, even if it's a remake, where they just kind of rehash some of the faults with this game and bring it to the masses. I mean, Rebellion fucking owns it, and they're a video game creating company. Come on, guys. What are you gonna do? Release Sniper Elite fucking 87 before I get another Judge Dredd game? But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out.